As anti-aircraft fire lights up the sky over Vietnam, a Navy jet takes a critical hit. The cockpit fills with warning sirens, and in those tense seconds, the pilot makes the split-second decision to eject. Spiraling earthward, his life in jeopardy, he finds an unlikely source of strength, a philosophy book his mentor once handed him. Captured and facing harrowing torture, he leans on its core lesson, that even in hell, one's spirit remains one's own. The pilot's name? James Stockdale. Born in Abingdon, Illinois, James was a man forged by discipline and intellectual rigor. He attended the U.S. Naval Academy, excelling both academically and athletically. Later, he chose to deepen his education at Stanford University, studying philosophy. It was there he met Philip Rhinelander, a World War II naval commander, who introduced him to Stoicism, a philosophy that would fortify his resilience in years to come. After completing his program at Stanford, James Stockdale returned to his naval career, with assignments that increasingly placed him in the center of the escalating conflict in Vietnam. Over a span of 3 years, he served on various aircraft carriers, including the USS Oriskany, operating in the Western Pacific. During this period, he led several operational cruises close to Vietnam and even commanded the first-ever American bombing raid on North Vietnam. Stockdale kept the book of philosophy his mentor had given him close at hand, a constant companion no matter which aircraft carrier he was stationed on. The stakes continued to rise with each mission, culminating during his third 7-month deployment off the coast of Vietnam. It was during this deployment that Stockdale's A-4 Skyhawk was hit by enemy fire. Alarms blared in the cockpit, and he made the critical decision to eject. As he parachuted into enemy territory, James was whispering to himself, "I'm leaving the world of technology and entering the world of Epictetus." Captured almost immediately by North Vietnamese troops, he found himself thrust into a brutal 7-year ordeal as a prisoner of war. But it was in that first moment, hanging by a parachute, that Stockdale activated the Stoic principles he had studied, principles that would sustain him through the unimaginable hardships to come. Every day, Stockdale applied the lessons he learned from the philosopher Epictetus, understanding that whether in a prestigious position or in captivity, one always has the freedom to make choices. He was imprisoned in what was referred to as the Hanoi Hilton during the Vietnam War. There, he embraced Stoic teachings that advised living without fear or hope, considering both to be useless preoccupations with the future. Stockdale observed that many of his fellow prisoners of war tormented themselves with the hope of quick release or rescue. These were often the individuals who died from despair. In contrast, Stockdale's Stoic approach enabled him to face his harsh reality without succumbing to hopelessness or depression. He believed that any real harm would come only from his own actions or thoughts, not his circumstances. He internalized the idea that maintaining his dignity and self-respect was more important than any physical suffering he could endure. Guided by these principles, Stockdale was confident he would eventually be released and even saw his experience as an important chapter in his life story. This balance between accepting current conditions and maintaining a positive long-term outlook was later termed the Stockdale Paradox by author Jim Collins. According to this concept, one must keep faith that things will ultimately improve while also confronting the harsh realities of the present moment. This dual mindset helped Stockdale survive his ordeal. When Operation Homecoming finally came on February 12, 1973, Stockdale was released. You see, in life, in your life, you'll face challenges that seem insurmountable. While you may not be parachuting into enemy territory, you will encounter your own personal Vietnams. What Stockdale teaches us is that preparation and a rock-solid mindset are not just theoretical virtues. They can be the difference between breaking and enduring. You have the power to control your reactions, to establish your own internal fortitude when external circumstances seem dire. So when you find yourself against the ropes, think of Stockdale. Equip yourself with the mental tools to not just survive your trials, but to turn them into defining moments of triumph. Thanks for watching and stay inspired.